Hi, Bother Brigade. Here's what's bothering me today. Not enough people are actually supporting the truckers who are out there actually fighting for our freedom and doing the good work and like taking the whole big business, whole scam. They're taking them to task. By the way, I'm not talking about those jackasses on the way to Ottawa. I'm talking about the Brampton truckers. Yeah, sorry folks. We're still kind of talking about the Trucker Convoy because I realized that there was another trucker story that I had been aware of, but I think a lot of people probably haven't even heard of. If you've actually been out on the road enough, you will see that there's a lot of truckers who aren't white. They tend to be from the Indian subcontinent or elsewhere. And that's what I actually want to talk about today, because there is an actual plight going on with truckers, which is why it's really pissing me off that instead of all this millions of dollars going to Alberta separatists, by the way, and all this attention and spotlight on petulant man children, basically, I want to focus on something that these people should actually be focusing on, which is the plight of their fellow truckers. And it's an actual plight that is absolutely screwing over many of their fellow truckers. So the last time this was talked about was fairly recently, back in December with this Toronto Star article. Wage theft, deportation threats, defamation suits. Inside Brampton truckers fight against $1 billion scam. Long-haul truckers have filed thousands of complaints over unpaid wages and other abuses. How drivers in Brampton are mobilizing against a mounting crisis. Basically, like, the gist of the story is that it has to do with a lot of unpaid wages for dozens to potentially hundreds of workers, but there's a key part of the article that shows you the scope of this problem. Over the past 3 years, long-haul truckers have lodged more than 4,800 complaints to Employment and Social Development Canada for unpaid wages and other employment abuses. That is more than 12 times the number filed in any other federally regulated sector, though truckers make up less than a fifth of that workforce. I'll provide a link to the article down below. It seems to be just an archived version, so it should be readable to most people. Like, you shouldn't need to get around a paywall or anything. But if you do need to, there's like ways around paywalls. But the core problem is that the general like trucking industry and many different businesses, they get barely, if anything, like so much as a slap on the wrist from the federal government. And what they do is they just scam workers out of thousands of dollars in unpaid wages. That's something that you'd think truckers would care about, considering these are, you know, their fellow truckers who are helping uphold society, keeping the goods flowing, doing long haul distance trucking. And instead, a lot of these truckers who, as we're seeing, tend to be like Sikh or brown, like from elsewhere in India or from elsewhere in Asia, they are being threatened with deportation rather than being paid after doing, again, an essential job during a pandemic. The last main coverage of this was in July of last year, where a bunch of people protested in someone's driveway, basically. Yesterday, young Punjabi workers protested in front of a wage thief's home in Brampton to demand that he pay his former truck driver $5,552.82 for his labor. I don't think the streets of Brampton have seen self-organized workers do bestie of their employer like this before. And so there's a whole thread. I'll link it below. You can scroll through it at your leisure. But this shows that it's part of a bigger problem, right? Here we have all the national spotlight on a bunch of pissed off man babies who don't want to get a vaccine shot, even though the vast majority, like 90% of truckers, have already gotten the vaccine. And, you know, sure, they want to change the rules in Ottawa, but there's still the fact that the same rules exist on the American side of the border. So it's ultimately moot. It's all so stupid. And instead, all this time and support is going towards them for something stupid and entirely avoidable, when actual real fellow truckers are having their wages stolen and being abused and threatened with deportation while they again do the crucial work of trucking. If all these people that I love seeing all around about, you know, oh yeah, the truckers, you know, standing up for our freedoms and all that horse shit, it would be really great if they could have some logical consistency and care about all truckers. I look forward to seeing the thousands of people flying Canadian flags and being against the vaccine mandates, showing up to support all of these various very brown truck drivers in Brampton. I'm sure that's going to happen, right? If the dry sarcasm in my voice wasn't a dead giveaway, obviously it's not going to happen. And that's just so sad and unfortunate, isn't it? That so many people will, you know, put all this time and effort into something that deals with a core aspect of human fear, but then they will make it seem like it's about freedom and the truckers and essential workers. Meanwhile, actual abuse in the trucking industry is going pretty much unnoticed and untalked about. And it's continuing to this day, where hundreds, if not potentially thousands of truck drivers have basically had their wages stolen from them, on top of already being overworked and doing the essential work of keeping the economy running. That's not a part of the discussion, and that should absolutely change. But alas, it likely isn't going to change. Very real truckers with very real problems are being shafted by the industry, and instead all the money and attention is going to pissed off man babies whose problems could easily be solved with a simple little shot. That is so deeply frustrating, and it's sad, and it's pathetic, and it should change, but unfortunately it won't, and that's what's bothering me today.